come back to this break. We are back on the podcast. Good to have Owen with us tonight. Plenty to discuss, Owen. It's been a busy 10 days on and off the pitch, of course, a lot of international football, but a lot of big stories around the Premier League. But let's go back to the start, Owen. Liverpool, 10 days ago, stretched 5 points clear to go top of the Premier League. We'll also be discussing all the big fixtures in December tonight as well as looking at the big controversy around referees at the moment. But let's start with Liverpool, Owen, because these are now 5 points clear in the Premier League after beating Aston Villa. Results elsewhere that day went your way. Obviously, Man City losing, and of course, Arsenal were unable to close the gap. They drew with Chelsea a day later. So Liverpool were sitting pretty going on the international break, and of course, the football returns this weekend. Liverpool travel to Southampton, which looks a very nice fixture on paper. So it's all going well in the Liverpool garden at the moment.
Well, on the pitch anyway, I'm a bit worried about stuff off the pitch, which I'm sure we'll get into later on. But in terms of on the pitch stuff, I can't complain. Slots doing a mad job as well. We're top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League, AFL quarterfinals, most likely semi-finals. So I can't complain at the moment.
The only way is down, isn't it?
Yeah, but hopefully it doesn't go that way. But we have a big week coming up the next week with Southampton. I don't want to look past that. But then the big test comes in. Real Madrid's still a big game, but we can sort of relax on that one. But I think that we're sort of through in the Champions League, and then we move on then to the big one then at Anfield against Man City. And if we can get a result there, and hopefully Spurs can get a result at the weekend, it's all looking rosy.
There are some big games coming up, which we are going to look at later on. A lot of talk that now Liverpool should be considered the favourites. Some sections of the media still not convinced, think it's too early, but where do you stand on it? I know you've got your Liverpool hat on, so it's very difficult for you to be, to look at this evenly. As much as we want to look at things evenly, you're always going to be that wee bit biased towards your own club. Unless you're Mr. Box Office, of course, he does not like Spurs one bit. Of course, if you haven't seen that podcast on Chris Coylan's podcast, definitely look that out. It was about, I think it was last Tuesday night he was on, and he had a positive thing to say about Spurs, but that's for another day.
I thought Stefan was bad at times. Dear me. Are we favorite? For me, I'm still wary of saying it because we've been here before. We've been in positions where we've been 5 points, 6 points clear, and Man City seem to catch us up somehow. But with their injuries this season, I'm slightly more towards saying it. But at the minute, I still see Man City as favourites, which is mad to say.
I mean, do you think that Man City game would change your opinion if Liverpool were to beat Man City? Beat Southampton, of course, and then go and beat Man City. Would you start to look at it differently then?
Even if we drew against Man City, it would be a good result for me. But you want to win your home games, so I'm going in that Man City game confidently because they don't have a good record at Anfield. The only time they've beat us in the last 20 years at Anfield was during the COVID year where Alisson's feet were cold, according to Jurgen Klopp. But why can't we go on and win it? It seems to be an open league this season, and I was looking at it today from where Spurs are in 10th, they where Chelsea are in 3rd. There's only 3-4 points between it.
3 points, believe it or not. I mean, that's the thing, right? You look at Man City's next 2 games, and we're going to look at the fixtures in a bit more detail. We've actually got the next 9 league fixtures on there, and believe it or not, that only takes you to the first weekend of January until the end of that Christmas period before the FA Cup starts. So 9 games. Each team will play 9 Premier League games from this weekend right through to the weekend in the 5th of January. So a lot of football to be played. Obviously, European games on there as well as Owen pointed out. 8 teams in the Premier League involved in the AFL Cup quarterfinals as well. So I think, for example, like say me and you, and I think we've possibly 12 games on there. I think if you count the two European ties on there.
There's 12, 13 games or something at least on there in the space of 9-10 days. So it's gonna be a hectic, but that's what we like. The players probably hit it, but us as fans, we love it, constant football. So this is my favorite part of the season. No more international breaks until March. So we're full steam ahead.
And your eyes are drawn to them two Man City games. Of course, if you had to pick two teams that Man City haven't had the best results against over the last 3-4 years, it's probably Spurs and Liverpool.
Yeah,
The Liverpool games, a lot of them seem to be draws, where who's home, who's away. And Spurs seem to have this funny record against them where I think Pep's lost more times to Spurs than any other team in
yeah,
England. And there might be some elements of fortune in there, but there is something in that too. So we will discuss those fixtures pretty soon. And you says yourself you're not getting too carried away at the moment. Do you think it is too early to be reading into this table? Are you much more, let's look at the table come the end of that January weekend, before the FA Cup starts? Everyone will have played everybody at least once. I know sometimes home and away, but you'll have played everybody. Gives you
yeah.
more of a reading under the table.
I don't get me wrong. Like if I'm sitting looking at the table now, I'm not gonna complain about it. Like I'm enjoying it at the minute. But no, it doesn't matter where. As we've said before, it doesn't matter where you're sitting in the 20th of November. It matters where you're sitting in the end of May. And if Liverpool are still sitting there at the end of May, and then I'll be a very happy man. I'll tell you that. But there's a long way to go yet. And I'm just taking it a game and on a game by game basis. Obviously, you keep an eye on your rivals and the likes of Arsenal and Man City, but if the way I don't think Liverpool will not lose a game for the rest of the season, put it that way. But if we keep winning, then there's nothing the other teams can do. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah. There was a conversation in our group chat, I think maybe last week or the week before. I can't remember now exactly, but I think they were all looking. I know it was. We were all chatting about that big day out of Christmas when Spurs
Yeah.
were playing Liverpool,
Yeah.
and I think Mark might have mentioned about being top of the table on Christmas Day. I think I threw it in there that I know a lot of fans do read into it, and he
I
did.
don't.
Mark was quite credible when he says that a lot of teams that are top on Christmas Day do go on they want it, unless your name is Liverpool, because I think
I was
Liverpool
going
have
to.
been top so many times and only won it once.
I were
And
the only
and that
team
sort of
that
points to the fact that are you a wee bit of a first half of the season team? Traditionally, do Liverpool play their best football before Christmas, and
well,
then they fall away in that second? But not by lots and
uh,
lots, but
uh,
they tend to be able to unmatch that sort of first 19 games to the second 19.
well, you would say that under Klopp definitely, but it's an unknown now going on this one with slots. So, and you could argue too that in the games we've played, bar a few, we haven't been blowing teams away like. So
Yeah, well, there's
we
Darren. Liverpool have been top 4 times on Christmas Day and only won it once. That's what he means. Basically, there's been 3 other times they
nah,
haven't gone on. They won the league, and I think there's nobody else has done that in terms of having it 3 times. I believe. I think there has been teams that have done it, but
nah,
definitely not as much as Liverpool. I think Arsenal recently were top on Christmas Day and didn't go on. They won it, although
they
that
were
was
top.
the World Cup year.
They were top that Christmas at the World Cup. Do you mind the boys on AFTV released T-shirts and all saying they were top of the league at Christmas?
Yeah, I think that was the season. There was only 16 games played before Christmas, but so there was more.
Uh,
Obviously, this season will be closer to 19 with it.
well,
Um,
as I say, if we're sitting top on Christmas, happy days. But we could be sitting third then at May, and then it's all for nothing. So I'm just taking it a day by day at the moment. And if we keep going where we're going, we will lose games. But it's just making sure when we do lose, it doesn't become a spiral.
Sticking with Liverpool, we're not going to go into these fixtures because we are going to put them on the screen in a few minutes. But just in your opinion, knowing what's on there, do you think that December month is going to be massive for Liverpool in terms of coming out of that weekend against Man United when they play them at home at the start of January? If they find themselves still 5 points clear, I mean, you would be a fool to say they aren't favourites.
If we get out of this Christmas period, we still in a no worse position than we are now. Then I'll be saying we're definitely
I think you
favourites.
need that 5-6 point gap because if you're only 2 or 3 points clear, you're only one result away from somebody catching you. I think you need to be, anyone sitting top of the table at Christmas by 2 or 3 points. Realistically, I don't think that's I think you need to be 6-7 points clear. You can effectively lose 2 games.
Realistically, this mightn't happen. But if Spurs were to go get a result, say beat Man City, and then we beat Southampton, we'd be 7 points clear of them going on the next week.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of if and buts on there, but
and then you could beat them and go 10 clear.
So if that happens, I'll be coming into your house, getting all your Spurs tops, and but no, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the ride at the minute as a Liverpool fan. There's nothing really I complain about, but as I said at the start, it's more the outside of football stuff.
Well, you mentioned that about 10 minutes ago. So let's talk about it. Liverpool fans were bracing themselves for some kind of news towards this international break. Effectively, it's over now. We're on to the Wednesday night. The football's back on Saturday morning. The players have all returned, or if they haven't returned, they're on their way back. There is no real, as you say, time now between games to sort this out. Realistically, this is a business thing anyway. This has really no relevance to when it's, what team, when Liverpool have a game or not. I don't think that's. But as it's starting to be a big worry now that we're on these single digits for weeks, we're only 6 weeks away from I think it's 5 weeks to Christmas today, 6 weeks to New Year's Day. Effectively from New Year's Day, all those 3 players could sign a contract for a team not in England, and that's it over with. Now, I think that's unlikely to happen that all 3 do that, but
I think
it's a big worry going on to that January period if on that second part of the season if you're still in this situation.
I think Trent's away. I think he'll go. I think he'll go. But I think the other two, Salah and Van Dijk, I think they'll stay because all the noise is coming out that Salah wants to stay at the club, wants to keep Salah, Van Dijk wants to stay in the club, wants to keep him. So I'm confident on them too. And I've sort of changed my mind on this. I was thinking if we lost Salah and Van Dijk because of their ages, I was more if we lose Trent. As much as Trent's a world class player, they all are, but I think if we lost Salah and Van Dijk, it would be much worse.
Is that short term, but thinking this season in terms of the league? But in 3 years' time, you'd argue that Trent's going to be the player at the top of his game and unlikely to be one of those two.
True, but then we have do you see any evidence of Salah slowing down? But
you would be surprised if he was doing it in 3 seasons' time still.
Yeah, but the only thing with Trent is we have a very good player to come on and take his place. Not at the level. Not at the level.
He was actually not in the Galvin Hospital, I think, yesterday. Connor Bradley. But look,
for just for him.
I think he was on visiting, or he was there for some odd reason.
I wish I took my sickness last night. It was all well sick. Have to go.
Well, one thing I would say is that
what's your verdict on it as a not
you don't want this hanging over the club,
No.
Even though I think there is a lot of confidence that Salah and Van Dijk will stay, if you're sitting there in January, you can't be 100% certain because why have they not signed their deals? There is, whether it's down to wages, whether it's down to contract length, there's some sort of issue holding this up because this has been going on now for that long that I always think the longer these things go on, the worse it can get.
We're hearing from Salah anyway. It's more of a contract thing, more of a contract length thing than a wage. But
well, this is the thing, right? And I know these things aren't going to happen in the blink of an eye. But if Salah wants a 3-year contract and Liverpool's saying 2, it can only be 2 or 3. I mean, one of them has to give. So you can't get a 2.5-year contract because that would mean it'd be going in January. So it's either going to be 2 or 3. I would understand if it was Salah wanting 5 years and the club maybe wanting to give him 2, and then there's plenty of but there's only one way it can go, either 2 years or 3 years, or the club decides it's not for them. So there's been a lot of talk, a lot of time now.
I have a feeling
why this is taking as long as it is.
I have a feeling we're going to have this is my theory, my tinfoil hat here. I have a feeling we're going to have a very quiet January, and because we won't sign anyone in January, you'll get bang bang. Here's 2 contracts signed. Now shut up. Basically, that's what. But with Trent, I was confident with him staying, but now I have a feeling he's had his head turned. But hopefully, he looks at Michael Owen when he left. That didn't work out for him. So. But for me,
we'll have to see. I think the trend is very, very ominous at the moment for Liverpool.
If you were to ask me now, I would say Trent's gone to Madrid and Salah and Van Dijk will stay. That's the way I see it.
How do you think that goes down if it's announced in January that he's going to be signing for Madrid at the end of the season? The Liverpool continue to play him. Do they bring Connor Bradley in? Duffy got one the way up.
No, if he goes in a free, then he can go. I don't want anyone who just. I know he's been there and he's won it all. And Real Madrid's a big club, but
what I mean is he'll still have 6 months to go on his contract.
No, I would rather it just be announced at the end of the season because I don't want any because if
That's not
because
that's not going to happen, but is it? I mean, it's going to be
if
nice. But what if he signed a contract?
say if Trent's had a bad game, it's going to be his head's not on it. He's too focused on Madrid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I think if we're sitting in March and there's no contract signed, it's obvious he's going. So I don't think the club will be spun it any other way.
It's going to be an interesting one. There is a world that I can see all three staying. There is, but it's going to be an interesting few weeks, especially because we're playing Madrid next Wednesday. Is it this day next week, Tuesday?
Mm. Look, just to play devil's advocate there, right? If Liverpool were to go on and win the league this year, does that make Salah and Van Dijk think, well, they're going to go and win it next year? Have we caught a good season where Man City were off it? Arsenal had a really tough fixture. They started a tough run of games away from home at the start of the season. That it might not get much better than that. Or do you see that could be an incentive? You could look at it either way, but
for me, it would be an incentive. Sure, look, Pep's just signed a new contract, and he signed a new contract, and he's won the league the past 4 years. So, if players are going, "Oh, we don't think we'll win it next year," then that's not the mentality you want. You seen the quote that Salah put out during the break. He says he hits that Liverpool are underdogs, and I get that because Liverpool are arguably the second biggest biggest club in the country in England. So.
Yet they're still seen at the moment as probably the third best team, despite being top. So, Owen, let's look at the rest of the league, because I think the other 19 teams have all had good days and bad days so far this season. Some more than others. But I think if you're Ipswich, you've had one great day, haven't you? But I mean, if you're like Arsenal, Spurs, Man City, you've had probably some good days and some bad days. What do you think this comes down to? Because seems to be that you can't really trust these other teams at the moment. You kind of think at the minute everybody Man City plays, they have a chance of beating them. Arsenal don't look anywhere near the same consistency standard. You seem to think when they go 1-0 up now, they can't hang on to a lead, whereas they were very good at that last season. Spurs 1 week they can go and beat anyone, and then they go lose to anyone. So Newcastle, who were awful, have started to pick up a bit of form. Really hard to get a read in these teams at the minute. I mean, do you think that Man City, Arsenal are nowhere near their best, and that's given our teams opportunities to get points against them?
You would have to say that, but then for Arsenal too, there's been injuries, there's been suspensions. Man City have lost probably the best best midfielder in the world anyway. And for Spurs, it's just a similar story to last season. They can go and blitz a team 1 week and lose to Burnley the next. So we've seen that with Spurs go and beat Aston Villa 4-1. I think was it 4-1 in the end? I think
4-1,
and then lose to Ipswich 2-1. So, but as Darren says there, the top teams have dropped off. But if you look at the likes of Fulham, have been good this season. Fulham have been really good. They've been
good.
Brighton, Brentford have mad games every week. So I think
Brighton at the moment are said to be the strongest home team in the league, but can't get a result away from home.
I think
down this league at the moment. I mean, does that add to the excitement? I mean, do you think that this makes it more exciting for people to watch? I mean, I'm even thinking as consistent as Liverpool have been, it wouldn't shock you if Southampton got a result, because the way this league's gone this year.
That would shock me. They're bad.
You say that, but I mean, they went to Arsenal and they gave them a game. They went to Man City and we lost 1-0. Hardly as bad as what they're made out to be.
I just think if they play them, but look at the chances they give Arsenal in that game, and look at the chances they give Man City.
No, I think they cause a lot of their own problems, but they do seem to be getting better.
No, it'll be a tough game, and obviously it's always a frosty.
Don't get me wrong, Liverpool will be huge favourites, but just the up and down nature of this league this year, you wouldn't.
It's always a frosty game, Liverpool and Southampton, because of the history between the clubs of Liverpool going, I'll take you. So
and then you only need to think back to that Forest game. You wouldn't give Forest a prayer at Anfield, and I know they've had a decent season so far, but then they go and lose it. They lost their last game. Was it 3-1 at home?
3-1 to Newcastle at home.
Newcastle. So, it's got the elements of the Leicester season on there, isn't it? I know this isn't Liverpool or Leicester at the moment, but they were a kind of team that got off to a great start, and no one was able to reel them in because of inconsistency. And Liverpool would definitely have been seen as maximum third favourites this year.
I seen boys before the season saying Liverpool are going to finish 7th, Liverpool are going to finish 6th.
They were even considered to be a top 4 shout. So I mean, obviously it's not the same scale as Leicester, but it's that kind of season. We've seen it in the League of Ireland with Shelburne. If you can get out in front and you can almost, if you get a gap, you can almost allow yourself to have that wee dip and still be
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Aye, it's gonna be you're getting me excited here. No, it's one of them where, as I said at the start, I'm just taking it game by game. Like if we go and lose to Southampton, I'll be fuming. So you just we go and beat Southampton, then focus on Madrid. I'm not getting too far ahead of myself. Obviously, the Man City game's huge next week. If we can go, no, we're home, aren't we?
What do you do with the Madrid and the Man City game? Do you rest players against Madrid for the Man City game?
I would, because we're I wouldn't go like our under 21s. Don't get me wrong, because it's still a big game, and obviously I want to beat Madrid, and we can beat Madrid. I think we can, because they're not pulling up any trees, and their injuries are sharp.
Against Madrid's not great though, and you could argue that was a time where Liverpool were really
I would,
strong.
the way I look at that, Madrid can barely feel the team at the moment, it seems. So no, don't get me wrong. If we lose that game, I won't be as human as we lose the Man City game, because we're in a strong position in the Champions League, and our next 2 games in the Champions League.
I disagree. What I think you have to be going on to the Man City game in the back of a positive. If you go a wee bit weaker against Madrid and they turn you over 3 or 4-1 at home, you go into that Man City game then a wee bit lacking in confidence, I think.
Maybe it's a tough one to balance, but I'm looking forward to the game.
On any given day, we know how good Salah is, but these boys, Madrid boys, could turn up and they could put on a show. Like, and as good as Liverpool have been this season, you wouldn't be thinking that's a game that they can't lose.
No, I go into no game thinking that we can't lose. Like everyone can lose a game. Like even you said to me, was it last week? You said to me, watch Spurs will go and lose to Ipswich tomorrow, and
that
that's
was the biggest shock this season. But the fact that Ipswich hadn't won a game and they were Spurs have been strong at home.
It happened with Palace too. What didn't it? Palace didn't win a game.
Away from home, you could say that was a bit more seeable, but that one was really. I mean, everyone. I think someone was telling me there was a last man standing. I think at Maiden City, or one of the players at Maiden, or one of the parents at Maiden City was on a last man standing, and it only started the week before the Spurs game, and there was another shock result the week before. I can't remember who it was. Might have been somebody Man City were playing. Brighton. It might have been, and people were dumped out there, and then somebody told me 27 people selected Spurs to beat Ipswich, and they all went out. So it just goes to show you.
The week before, Bournemouth beat Man City, I think it was.
Might have been that. So Bournemouth, that's what it was. It just shows you the moment, and results are very hard to come by in the Premier League. I wonder with this tight. Sorry, go ahead, Owen.
I was going to say it's going to be a tough balancing act for Slot this week. Whether he goes full out strong and but I in a way I agree. Like he only
strong against Southampton and get the 3 points.
No, I'm not about the Real Madrid game.
I still think he'll go strong. I think he'll go very, very strong.
I don't actually know if Trent's fit, because he was playing.
The problem being, if you go weaker against Madrid and lose to Man City, all of a sudden the narrative changes. Then that Liverpool season starting to unravel, and you want to try and keep this momentum going. So there's bound to be another game that can maybe rotate players on, but definitely, because if Bellingham, Mbappe, and Vinicius turn up, don't matter how good you are, you're in for a tough game.
I told you Bellingham was coming to Liverpool, and now am I wrong?
Well, that's it. Owen, I wonder, we've only seen Ten Hag be sacked so far, and we're nearly towards December now. Do you think you mentioned it there? Spurs been only 3 points away from third, despite being in 10th. All those teams now at the bottom have at least won one game, and the gaps have narrowed a bit. Do you think a lot of clubs are just waiting to see how the next few weeks go?
If I was to put money on it now, like I'm not a bet man, but if I was to put money on it, I would say either Russell Martin or Gary O'Neill will go next. That's what I think. But no, I agree. Like the table's that tight. Like a couple of results could turn their season. So obviously Spurs are playing Man City this week. I have no recollection of who Chelsea are playing this week.
Yeah, but I'm at the point now with Spurs. Even if they go and beat Man City, I wouldn't be getting too excited, because the next game in, you could go and lose that.
Who you playing after them in the league?
It doesn't matter who we're playing. I can tell you now, but it doesn't matter who we're playing, because we've lost the Ipswich at home.
That's true. But
we could follow them at home on the week after.
See that's one that I would go Fulham with fancy their chances.
What's that? Let's look at these fixtures because
Yep.
uh, there is some big games on here. One just have a comment here. 1 second. I'll be surprised to see if the West Ham manager survives the new year. I
I
think West Ham are not
forgot
taking
about him.
a tough game.
Forgot about Lockbategi. It doesn't. It looks like the fans don't like him, and he doesn't like the job. It seems.
I watched them. They were against Everton there before the break, and it was awful. Two
Yeah,
bad
but
teams. But look,
West Ham fans always have this thing. Oh, we want to play the West Ham way. What is the West Ham way? Like?
I don't know. It's just not working. I think I agree with Darren. I'd be surprised if he's there in the year. Let's look at these fixtures, one, because these fixtures cover from this weekend right through to that 1st of January weekend. And there'll be a break the week after for the FA Cup starting.
That's
So
United, isn't it? The first
yeah,
weekend in
right
January.
up until Liverpool play United. So we'll start with Liverpool, then being top of the league. So it starts with Southampton. This is only Premier League games, by the way. So Southampton away, Man City at home, Newcastle away, Everton away, Fulham at home, Spurs away, Leicester at home on Boxing Day, West Ham away, and Man United at home. So definitely some tough games on there. I should point out the Man City at home, Newcastle away, and Everton away are all within 6 days of each other. So Liverpool play 4:30 on the Sunday and then play the 12:30 on the Saturday away at Everton. The Spurs away game will be the final Premier League game before Christmas, so it'll be the fixture that closes the Premier League out before Christmas. Leicester at home is Boxing Day. West Ham away is on the 29th, and of course, Man United is the first game in January for Liverpool. Owen, some big games on there, definitely. I mean, you look at Man City, Newcastle away, Everton away, Spurs away, even West Ham away if they have a new manager could be difficult, and of course, Man United at home is always a big fixture. So I think if Liverpool come out of that anywhere near that 5-point clear, they'll be very happy.
I'm looking at some of these now. Do you want me predictions for them, or do you just want?
Well, you tell me. You tell me what you think, Ango.
Right. Well, I think we'll beat Southampton.
It's pretty much impossible to predict games 6 and 7 games away, but you can have a stab.
I'll go for our next 3 anyway. Just to keep it. So Southampton and Sunday, I think we'll beat. I think we'll beat Man City at home. I do think and Newcastle away, we have a good record, so I think we'll beat them as well. So I'm saying 9 points from our next 3 games. That's what I'm saying. So
hard to predict some of them games because I think Southampton he's definitely won. Man City at home, it'll be interesting to see how they do against Spurs because surely they can't keep losing games.
Well, Pep's just signed a new deal.
I feel that these next 2 games for Man City in the league are crucial. I don't think they can afford to lose these 2 games. I don't care how good they are in the run. You're going to be you're leaving yourself an absolute mountain to climb, and you're relying on the team having a major collapse to catch them. So
if they lost both games, do you think they'll be out of it?
What's that?
Do you think if they drew one and lost one, do you think they'd be out of it?
Depends which one.
So say if they drew the Spurs game and lost the
Liverpool game's the one that they can't afford to lose because that would give them Liverpool be getting 3 more points against them, whereas they could theoretically they could lose the Spurs or draw by Spurs, and you never know. Liverpool could draw at Southampton, a big shock, and then they could beat Liverpool, and of course they've ended up clawing 3 points back, haven't they? So I don't know. I think that the Liverpool game's the one they definitely can't afford to lose. But the Spurs one's a fascinating fixture because, I remember Spurs went there last year and went at them and lost, and drew 3-3. And I kind of think at the minute that's the only way you can play against Man City. If you sit off them, I think at the minute they're vulnerable, and I think teams are looking at that. Bournemouth went after them, Brighton went after them, Spurs in the Cup went after them, so they're definitely beatable. So I think these next 2 games for Man City are going to be crucial. If they come out of that, if Liverpool beat Southampton, Spurs go to Man City and 1 on Saturday, Liverpool get their 3 points on Sunday. Like they're going into that fixture, 8 points behind?
5, 6, 7.
If they lose the Spurs,
they'll
be 8 points. And if they lose Liverpool, that will be 11 points. And I think it even gets to that point where if Liverpool have that 8-point gap going into that game, they would nearly say, a draw might be a bad result here. We're still 8 points ahead. But I think if they lose them 2 games, Liverpool get 6 points. I just don't see it. 11 points is a huge gap.
And as much as Man City are good, I don't think they are good. But even I don't know. I know. Pep just signed a new contract.
I can get what he's saying there. You can't write them off, but if you're losing that, if you've lost 6 in a row in the league, like I mean, I can't remember too many title-winning teams that lost 6 games in a row.
This way, if Liverpool were 11 points by Man City, we'd be saying that's over.
So, well, sorry, to be fair, when I say 6, it would be 2. It would be 4 league games in a row. 6, it will be 6, depending on how they do against Feyenoord, I think, as well. But at the minute, they've lost 2 in a row in the league, 4 in all competitions. I just don't see title-winning teams doing that.
I haven't been this confident going on the Man City game in a long time. Put it that way.
So let's look at the ones after. Newcastle away. I think the way they're playing at the moment, that's going to be a tough game.
They're the only team.
I know you keep mentioning that, but I watched that game last year and how Liverpool won it, and I'll never know. It was a lot of ball.
We watched it together, I think, didn't we?
We were scratching your head how they won it. You know, what I mean, I think you could replay that game 99 times over, and they wouldn't have won it. I think it was one of them ones. And they've got great form.
Allison made a couple of saves, didn't they?
They did, but they've got some great form against the best teams at home in the league. So I think that's a really, really tough game. Everton away, the final derby at Goodison will be tough. Fulham at home, as you says, counter-attacking team could cause problems. Spurs away, depends what Spurs turns up. Leicester at home, you'd think a banker. West Ham away, looking at it now, looks okay, but if they have a new manager in there that makes them a bit more tougher to beat, it could be tricky. And of course, Man United at home. So all tough games as this is. I mean, I think I'm going to pull up everyone's fixture share. I wouldn't be, you might get 1 or 2 in the 9 there. Do you think are bankers? But the rest are all tricky.
The only ones I'm saying are guaranteed ones for me are Southampton and Leicester at home. The rest you could.
If Liverpool were to come out of there, be 21 points out of 27, 7 wins and 2 defeats. I don't think that would be a disaster.
No, I'd be puzzled. I'd bite your hand off that now.
Because realistically, it would mean somebody having to won 9 straight games to jump above them. I just don't see that.
So obviously you're going to say Spurs because you're a Spurs fan, but apart from that, where do you see us dropping points?
Not really. I think I would say that
Newcastle away is one for
City
me.
At home, Newcastle away, Everton away, and Spurs away.
Fulham at home too. I wouldn't be banked.
Let's go through it last season. Man City at home was a draw. Newcastle away was a 1. Everton away was a loss. Spurs away was a loss due to the VAR thing. Yeah. So I mean, they were all difficult games last season. So I mean, they're all losable, or droppable. So
how did we do against West Ham away?
I would be shocked if Liverpool went. I'd be surprised if Liverpool won all 3 games that week. That tough week: Man City at home, Newcastle away, and Everton away. I'd be surprised. I mean, that would be a big statement if they really won all 3 of those.
No. Out of all them games, I don't see us winning them all. Definitely don't.
I think if they were to get 7 points at Man City, Newcastle, and Everton, be a great week.
When do we play Newcastle on the Sunday? Is it at 4:30?
Newcastle away is the most difficult one, to be honest, at the moment. Unless Man City can find someone in the next 2 weeks before they play them, I think Newcastle away will be your toughest because it'll be a night game too. The place will be rocking.
Oh, is it a Monday night? Is it?
It's a Wednesday night. It's a midweek fixture round.
And then obviously Spurs away is obviously going to be tough, but that's our Christmas day out. So I'm hoping one of us, mainly me, will be more happy on that day.
Big game. Let's look at Man City's fixtures. Of course, Spurs at home, Liverpool away, Palace away, Man United at home, Villa away, Everton at home, Leicester away, and West Ham at home. So just look at the Liverpool game. Obviously, Spurs at home this weekend. And then they have that period of Liverpool away, Palace away midweek, and Man United at home on the week. No, sorry, I've got that wrong. Because Man United is, do you know what? Go and check who Man City are playing. And between Liverpool and Palace, I've left somebody out.
And between Liverpool, right now, about 2 seconds.
The midweek fixture.
Radio. Man City fixtures. Not the first.
Home or away?
Home.
So So we'll re-put that back up. So obviously the Liverpool away, Forest at home, and Palace away is within that week period.
Yeah.
Man United at home the week after, Villa away just the weekend before Christmas, Everton at home on Boxing Day, Leicester away, and West Ham at home at the start of January. So again, very difficult games in there. You look at those next 5, even they're all really tough. Spurs at home.
Even United at home, like you don't know what to expect from Man United.
You look at those next 5 games, and you think they're going to have to win at least 4 of them to be in contention. I think.
I think I've already said they'll lose to Liverpool, but the rest of them, and you know what? I can see Spurs that type. I can see Spurs going there and getting the result. Like I don't
You wouldn't be surprised. You would not be surprised if Spurs is anywhere at themselves. They can definitely get some.
The only teams I can see taking points off them are probably Spurs, Liverpool, Man United. That's it, probably. Forest, maybe, but I don't know.
You think they'll beat Villa?
The way Villa are playing at the minute,
let's move on to Arsenal. West Ham away, Man United at home. I've left somebody else out there too. I'm having a nightmare here. Who do they play after West? Who do they play after West Ham? Arsenal.
Hold on, get back on me, Google. After West Ham, right? Hang on. Arsenal. After West Ham, they play Fulham. Fulham away.
Fulham on there. It might be before West Ham. Who do they play before? It's Forest at home this weekend, isn't it?
They have Forest this weekend, then Sporting, then West Ham, then Man United, then Fulham. That's what it says.
That's what it is. That's Forest at home, then it's West Ham away. So they've got Forest at home, West Ham away, Man United at home in the midweek game, Fulham away, Everton at home, Palace away just before Christmas, Ipswich at home the day after Boxing Day, Brentford away in the only New Year's Day fixture this year, and Brighton away in January to start off. So again, Forest at home. We know what they did to Liverpool at Anfield, and they almost beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So that's going to be a difficult game because they're going to camp. It's going to be a game Arsenal to go on the front foot. West Ham away. At the minute, you would say looks favourable. United at home. That'll be Ruben Amorim's first real test as United coach in terms of a big team he's playing. Fulham away. You've got all MX Arsenal players as well. Be looking to prove a point. Everton at home. Palace away, Ipswich home. I think that's not too bad, to be honest. I think Arsenal, out of the 3 there, I think Arsenal have possibly the most favourable fixtures there.
I agree.
I'm not surprised, but based on who they played so far.
It's no, you wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal. I would say even though Forest are good, I think they'll beat Forest at home. They'll beat West Ham away. United at home. I don't know how to predict that at the minute because you don't know what United have to see how they get on. But the away games they have are the tricky ones for me.
Brentford away on New Year's Day will be difficult. And Brighton away as well.
As you say, too, all the ex-Arsenal players at Fulham want to prove a point.
Yeah, let's look at Chelsea. Currently sitting 3rd in the Premier League table. They kick off this weekend away to Leicester. Then they've got Aston Villa at home, Southampton away in the midweek game, Spurs away. The game I'm actually going to that game, the Spurs and Chelsea game in December. Brentford
is that a midweek one or is it a
Sunday, the 8th of December? It's a 4:30 game.
Hopefully it's not as eventful as last year.
Well, hopefully just the other way around. Brentford at home, Everton away just before Christmas, Fulham at home on Boxing Day, Ipswich away, and Palace away. So I think there's some tricky ones on there. I think Spurs away, Chelsea is always a big game. That's both teams will be looking forward to that. Everton away just before Christmas, I think could be a stumbling block as well. Fulham at home on Boxing Day, London derby, and of course Palace away is never easy. But look, there's no. You look at it and you think Villa and Spurs are the 2 bigger teams there. They haven't got to play a Man City, an Arsenal, or a Liverpool on there. So, whilst there is some tricky ones on there, I think they'll do okay.
I agree with you. I think,
but then they're a bit inconsistent. You just don't know what you're going to get with them sometimes.
It's a bit like Spurs, isn't it? One week they could go and beat someone and then lose. They say Leicester this weekend. The Spurs away games, obviously, I know Everton's away is tough as well, but Spurs away is always one that Chelsea fans look for, isn't it? So that's the one for me anyway. Is their trickiest fixture on paper.
Let's look at Spurs' fixtures because I think we're coming up to a very crucial period for Spurs. Man City away, Fulham at home, Bournemouth away in the midweek game, Chelsea at home. Of course, I'll be there. Southampton away, Liverpool at home on just before Christmas, Forest away on Boxing Day, Wolves at home, and Newcastle at home. So I think this is one of the more difficult runs. You look at some of the calibre of team on there. I know a lot of them are at home, but still tough games. You think about Man City away, Chelsea at home, Liverpool at home, Newcastle at home, Forest away, Bournemouth away. You know, they're all difficult. I mean, I think this is a massive period for Ange here because I think if you're sitting after that Chelsea game and you're sitting mid-table, like there's going to be a big decision to make because do you ride it out and think of the good days that they play well, or do you start looking towards more the consistency? Because
Right. Well, it
if we
depends
were
on
to,
what.
if we weren't to win any of them next 4 games, I think he would be under serious pressure.
Well, Mr. Box Office will be hoping that he's losing because from what I watched of that podcast, he was not a happy man with Ange. I know we all slag each other in that group chat about Ange, but I don't see the upside from sacking him. Yeah, like I know, but
No, I'm the same. I'm pretty much the same. But at the end of the day, results will dictate as well.
He does. I think he does need to have a plan B. I think he's so stubborn in what he's doing, but he needs to look at it now. Maybe he did over the international break. It's just not working at the minute. Like 1 week they're winning, 1 week they're losing. But I don't know.
Having said that, and he does say that they've had a difficult run. I think these games might bring the best out of Spurs because they're not going to get away with not being at their best. Because Man City away, if you don't turn up there, regardless of whatever form they're in, you're in bar. Yeah. Fulham at home, I think everyone knows the danger of Fulham now. We've seen it this season. Bournemouth away are arguably one of the standouts this season. Chelsea at home, if you can't get up for Chelsea, you shouldn't be at the club. And then you worry, if they have a good run there and won 3 of those 4, you start looking at the happening, going, these players might start fancying themselves, and then they take a foot off the gas and lose.
And I'm sure the Liverpool players will be thinking at the back of their minds last year as well. Like that'll be motivation for them. So,
and of course, what doesn't help things is Bentancur's now been suspended for 7 games. Now Spurs have appealed that today and are confident it will be reduced to at least 6, which would bring them back for the Liverpool game.
That would be the Liverpool game. But what's the difference in 6 and 7? Like,
well, I think that minimum you can get done 6 games. So Spurs is wondering why it's 7. So
it was. I know they were saying in the group chat the other day it was a joke, but it was a very stupid comment to make. It
was, and of course, in between that Southampton Liverpool game, Spurs are probably the team that need the League Cup the most, and they'll be looking at that Man United game in there. That's going to be.
I want to retain it.
You want to retain the cup?
Oh, it's weird because it's the League Cup. If we go out of it first round, I'm like, whatever. But if we get now that we're in the quarters, I'm like, right, let's go win it.
I think Spurs need to be pulling on at least 7-8 points in the next 4 games before.
That's a big week. That's a big week for Spurs too, isn't it? Because it's United at home, Liverpool at home, and who else?
Well, it'll be Southampton away, United at home, Fulham or Liverpool at home. But I think. You look at that, Alden, Southampton away, and Spurs have shown this year they can lose to anyone. Ipswich at home. The rest of them are all difficult. Wolves at home. Maybe you could say they're not great this year, but
that's what I said at the start of the show there. Like, this is as a Premier League football fan, this is my bread and butter here. I just want games. This last week I was just
if they were to come out of this run with 6-7 months, you would start to see all this thing like now.
What's your gut feeling then, as a Spurs fan?
I think we're going to actually have one of those games on Saturday where we're going to play really well and lose. I think we're going to be the team on the sucker punch to Man City. I think we could go there and we'll lose something like 3-2 and we'll be wondering how. That's my honest opinion. Having said that, I could see us winning too, but I just think that Man City are going to
Are we going to do predictions for the matches at the end?
I'll do that. We'll leave it to Friday. So I think we'll lose the Man City. We'll beat Fulham. Lose the Bournemouth. Beat Chelsea. Beat Southampton. Beat United in the Cup. Lose the Liverpool.
Ooh.
Lose the Forest. Beat Wolves and beat Newcastle. I just never fancy us to draw. I think we're going to go one way they are.
Would you take that now? See if you were offered now, you just go through in the Cup but lose the Liverpool. Would you take that?
Depending on the league results.
I suppose.
and then the draw. There's no good then drawing Arsenal or Liverpool over 2 games. Like it's
Who do
too
we
difficult.
Who do we have in the cup? Oh, I still have. There's an away again. There's another away game. But do you think if Spurs come out of this, just say hypothetically they come out of this in bad shape, do you think Ange will be on the chop?
Depend on a few things. It'll depend on how they've played. It'll depend on how far away they are from teams. And
the league is so tight.
How the players are reacting to it. You know, there will be sense around the club if they feel that they're not getting the best out of them, then there'll be a change. But not, I think as long as they can be semi-consistent on that run, they'll be okay.
I don't know how you feel, but
I would stick with him to the end of the season unless things got really, really bad.
I don't know how you feel. Maybe I'm reading under, but I think he's falling out with Madison.
I don't think he's hardly fallen out with Madison. I think he's easily fallen out with him. So
he's a bit of a
one bit of good news for us. As Kulusevski and Johnson were on fire last night for international, so hopefully they can carry that form until the weekend.
That boy for Sweden too, Gokkeres. He's Holland reincarnated.
Let's finish off looking at Man United. Of course, Ruben Amorim starts this weekend away at Ipswich.
They're going to lose them all.
One of my mates says, "No, typical. Hey, Ipswich play us after they get a 1 but Ipswich away, Everton at home, Arsenal away, Forest at home, Man City away, Bournemouth at home, Wolves away, Newcastle at home, Liverpool. Look, I think that's difficult, especially Man United are very inconsistent.
It's not going to be the easiest of starts. I think they'll beat Ipswich on Sunday. I do, and I think for their first 3, they'll beat Ipswich, they'll beat Everton, and they'll draw with Arsenal. That's what I think. And then I think Forest at home, I think they'll lose to Man City, lose to Bournemouth, beat Wolves, beat Newcastle, and obviously I'm going to say get swapped by Liverpool at Anfield.
All right, well, I've saved the best for last. Let's look at
here we go.
Because you're a big critic of them. Of course,
deserved this time.
Oh well, is it?
Well, for this particular referee, yeah.
Well, our West Ham to blame for Paqueta, or Brentford to blame for Ivan Toney. I mean, if people want to do things, there's nothing you can do to stop them.
True, but
regardless of their profession, I mean, anybody in a professional position should realize their responsibilities.
I agree with that, but it's the constant mistakes that the refs are making at the minute. But we'll get on this. But no, it's been a bad couple of weeks for them anyway. It's been a very bad couple of weeks.
What was your opinion of the David situation?
When I first seen it, I sent it to you when I first seen it, but I was thinking this surely can't be real. Surely someone's AI this or doctored it in some way. But when it turned out it was real, I was like, all right, that's not good. I was angry, like as a Liverpool fan, and obviously, like, I don't think he's biased towards Liverpool. Let's get that. Like, I don't think he's purposely. He obviously doesn't like Klopp, which was clear. I don't think the problem was that he called Liverpool shit. It was the fact that he called Klopp a German. Yeah. It was.
Well, let's flip it, right? And I'm not trying to stick up for him because what he did was wrong. And it obviously got a lot worse afterwards. But if you're being berated by somebody, your ability is being questioned constantly, and the manager of a certain team just has made it clear that he doesn't like you. Why should he not feel the same towards that individual? You know, that Klopp create that problem with Paul Tierney, with David Coote, that he made him feel so uncomfortable, questioned their ability. We've seen it with Mourinho, is famous for it, and then he wonders why so many things go against him.
Yep.
I just wonder if it's a smart thing to do, because we've seen Gary O'Neill call out the referees, and Wolves can't seem to get out of a bad rut of decisions that, you know, you call these people out, and at the end of the day, they're not going to like that, are they?
I know, but they're there to do a professional job. But I do agree that Klopp did.
At the end of the day, if a referee started berating a coach because of his poor tactics, he wouldn't get away with it, would he? So why should a manager get away with criticising a referee?
No, I agree with that. Like, Klopp, obviously, I love Klopp, but I'm not going to sit here and say he was perfect and didn't do things wrong. He did. Do you mind in that Spurs game when we scored in the last minute? They went across and nearly took a referee's head off. So like every manager has their Arteta's done it, and just probably done it. But I just think it wasn't so much. If he had said Jurgen Klopp's a c word, I'm not going to say it online. But if he had said Jurgen Klopp, but the fact that he said
See, before you come on there, right? Do you know that at the end of every game, the managers get an opportunity to speak to the referee privately?
I knew that.
Anything they have to say should be said in that room. They don't need to go on to a Sky Sports camera and batter the referee. I think if managers done that privately, then the referees will understand that. They know themselves, they can make mistakes. And I think it's very easy for people to make mistakes. And if they say it behind closed doors, it's not in the media, that referee doesn't hold a grudge against that certain manager. I think when you go onto the TV and criticize, and I think Klopp created that problem with certain referees that they didn't want to referee Liverpool. He didn't want them refereeing. And I think looking by the records, there was a lot of times that the FA made decisions to stop them referees refereeing Liverpool. And, again, you would question, is that fair for our teams that Liverpool were getting that kind of treatment from certain, they weren't, look, I think David Cook only refereed Liverpool so many times in the last 4 years.
The funny thing is, we actually have the second most win rate when he does ref, which is funny. But it's
and you're arguing that Villa game that Villa could have had a couple of penalties. I mean, you were convinced there was a penalty in there.
The first one I thought was when I pulled him back, but then you don't seem to get them. But then again, he didn't give a foul for Salah before we went on and scored. Like it's weird. It's a strange one with refs. Like Chelsea have it. What do you call him? Anthony Taylor. They don't like him. Liverpool don't like Paul Tierney. Although I don't think Tierney's a ref anymore.
Arsenal don't like Gerard Gilley.
Gerard Gillett, because they all Spurs like everybody it seems. But no, it's
but I don't understand how especially the top teams think that why a referee would have any impact on their success in a 38 game season. There's 90 minutes in a match.
But that's what I mean though. No, because this has come out, it's going to cause a whole problem now. If Liverpool get it, not just Liverpool, but right. So say Spurs are playing this weekend. Do you know who the ref is? No.
I'm not sure. I haven't checked actually. I usually do.
Just say it's I don't know. Just say it's Jared Gillett or something. Say he makes a mistake and gives Spurs a penalty. Arsenal fans will be screaming, he's a. So it's you're damned if you do. They create
well, obviously there's certain referees you remember and think, he gave that against us or whatever. But I never think it's bad. If Anthony Taylor's referee in the Man City and Spurs game on Saturday, I won't be thinking he's in Manchester. That's not what I'll be.
The funny thing is, he's refereeing the Man United game. So I
mean, these things are all checked. There's no way he would have any kind of allegiance to Man United or Man City or.
I know, but it's. I don't think they do it, but they cause the problem for themselves. If you get my point.
But they have to be from somewhere.
I know, but I don't know.
And at the end of the day, right? If you get under that, right, we can't have on this game because of such and such, and like at the end of the day, right, Michael Oliver's a Newcastle fan. You could argue that Spurs, Aston Villa, Chelsea, they're all threats to the Newcastle. So I mean, can you not referee any of those teams? I mean, you're getting under the nitty gritty. Like I mean, it's impossible to say. If you're a Liverpool, if there's a referee from Liverpool, can he not referee Liverpool, Everton, Arsenal, Man City? Who's Everton's rivals? Relegation. You get into a situation where you'd be no referees.
It's weird, but I get that they're human, and don't get me wrong, I've probably said things in a private setting that I wouldn't say on here or anywhere else, and you've probably done it. So everyone makes mistakes, but it was the fact that he let someone film it, and the fact that he brought his nationality and it doesn't.
I have to say, getting away from that, right? I think it points to a wider problem that this individual obviously has a lot of problems, and look, he could have been under some sort of influence when he says those things, and maybe he wasn't aware of what really was going on, because I don't think anyone in their right frame lets himself be videoed.
You seen with the second video that's come out, he's obviously kicking something.
Well, that's it. And then you wonder how much of that, all these people had all this evidence and they were sitting on it. They were sitting on it for some reason.
I'm going to bring on whoever did have that evidence and brought it on now is an absolute twat.
But it makes you think of why were they holding off? Was there something happening in the background? I don't know. It's all hearsay, but
apparently there was something about him texting underage girls too, wasn't there?
Wow.
I seen that.
That's all speculation, but I suppose the one thing I have to say is you wonder how he did his job, because I mean, how was he able to do it? I'm all right, he might have made the all bad call. I don't think he made any bad calls over. He didn't make any more than anyone else. So I mean, he was able to referee these games, and nobody would have thought at any stage this man was on. Had all these issues. So I mean, he was able to block it out some sort of way. But obviously, I would say his days refereeing are numbered. And
even if he does come back to refereeing, which I don't think he will, he can never referee. If he does come back to refereeing, he can never ref a Liverpool game again.
I don't think he can referee any game, to be honest.
No, but I hope, to be honest, I hope if it is a drug problem or a drink problem, I hope he does get the help that he needs for it, because it is sad at the same time.
And of course, a lot of Arsenal fans, they probably like yourselves feel the most aggrieved. Along with maybe Wolves, they feel things go against them and certain referees are out to get them. And they were the ones that go, look, then they start looking at this referee now because of what's happened here. I mean, what would you? I mean, there's one rotten apple. I mean, that the whole barrel is, I just referenced there about, should all players have their phones checked because of 2 Premier League players have been 3 Premier League players in the last year have been found to be gambling and making bets where it's been an outcome that they can affect. For me, that's as bad. I mean, they've, was it even Tony was backing himself to score first? I mean, if he's clean through and goal, he's not thinking about passing. He's not thinking about passing a football, is he? Because he's thinking about his
no, it doesn't make them. It doesn't make them all. It doesn't make them all bad, but it puts a seed of doubt in fans' minds, which they don't need.
And that's fair, but they're not. I don't see any Arsenal fans saying that. Oh, maybe our players could be. We need to check and see if they're gambling. Yeah. No, they're quick. They shift it on. All these referees are all corrupt.
Arsenal fans should be more worried about what one of their players is doing.
Well, that's not, don't talk about that, do they?
No, they don't mention that when that was brought up during the international break again, I think.
One thing as well I want to bring into this before we finish. Yep. You're a Liverpool fan. I'm a Spurs fan.
Yep.
Is there anyone out in life that you don't like? You don't have to name them, obviously. Is there anyone in life you don't like?
Like in person or in football?
In person or anything. Or even I don't know them, or I'm sure there's somebody you don't like.
Yeah.
because you're human, right? So at the end of the day, all humans, would it be fair to say, have some form of bias towards teams, towards people, towards certain subjects,
well, of course,
certain cities where they love, Like it's fair to say that all humans have some form of bias, and no matter what you do, you're never going to eradicate bias out of football.
100%. Like I'm biased towards Man United. I never want them to do well. You never want us to do well.
The other thing I've heard is let's bring in the European refs because
this
is the 2 arguments. 1, they're better, and 2, they won't be biased. Right. 1, I've seen plenty of things in the Champions League that hasn't been great this season, and 2, if you have an Italian referee in a game, he might have Italian players that he likes playing for a team. He might have an Italian manager that he likes. You're never going to eradicate bias out of football.
No, there's obviously bias.
And I mean, we see it all the time in Sky Sports. The punditry teams are supposed to be biased, and they're not.
Well, the one that's really annoying me at the moment is Gary Neville. Like he's not even trying to hate it, which is especially, I don't know. He seems to love Arsenal recently. I think it's because he doesn't want Man City or Liverpool to win the league, maybe.
Well, that's not. He he has to try and be as impartial as he can, but it's killing him.
Like if me and you were on Sky Sports if I was on Sky Sports when United were in their heyday, I'd be steaming. Like I'd hit it.
Well, of course. So that's just the way it is.
Finish
off on. I mean, how do you feel that fans are now with this? PGM. I know I've kind of laid out the facts that they try and support it. All hope shouldn't be lost, but I think for a lot it has, and I think you're one of them. Are you expecting now to be going into a game thinking a dodgy ref could cost us or a dodgy decision could cost us?
No, I don't go in there thinking right a ref's going to cost us. I go in there thinking I just want a good game where there's obviously going to be bad decisions in a game. Uh, there's obviously going to be bad decisions, but I don't want to be sitting against Southampton going.
Is it fair to say that the fans only remember the ones that go against them and not for them?
Of course, but you have to say too. I said to you, as you said there, Villa should have had a penalty against us, in my opinion, and I'm a Liverpool fan, like, and I thought at the time it was a penalty. So
But you
you
won't
do have
remember that if Southampton get a shocking decision, like, at the weekend that affects this game.
100%. Like, you're biased towards your own team, but I just think I think the whole footballing world has lost faith in officials, and it's not fair on the individuals. I think it's the system above them too that doesn't help.
How does the PGML now, how do they, coming up the Premier League weekend, how do they deal with this whole situation, do you think? Of course, the referee's been suspended, but do you feel they're even under more pressure to get things right in the next few weeks?
If there's one dodgy VR goal in any of the games this weekend, it'll be. So I'll use the Spurs game for example. If Man City if just say Michael Oliver's on VR,
Not
he's
fair to
referee.
the ref in this game at the weekend because, I'll not be one of the people,
I have a feeling.
I'm not be one of those people fearing if it's Michael Oliver doing this game.
Well, a lot of people say he likes Man City because he goes over to the final Spurs v City referee. Referee. It says here Simon Hooper, but I don't know if that's true.
He's man too, and he's Manchester man now.
Nah, he screwed us last year.
He's the VAR.
Uh,
You know what? Simon Hooper refereed this game last year because I remember he got hammered for blowing up the advantage early. Right at
they always seem to give the same. They always seem to give the same refs the same games.
He actually refereed this game quite well last year. I know, bar that decision, they got that run wrong, but.
Let me see. No, it's Andy Madley, whoever he is.
Wasn't Simon Hooper?
No, I think he's on VAR or something. I'll check.
Andy Madley and Royce Fish,
I know of him, but I don't know. VAR. It says here Kevin Friend or something. I don't know.
Right. So it's not your stellar lineup. And before we go off, let's talk about Ireland. Of course, the Nations League is over. Ireland won 2 games out of their 6, beating Finland home and away, but losing home and away to England and Greece. That leaves Ireland in pot 3 for the World Cup draw in December. The qualifying draw.
I thought you were going to say let's talk about Derry. I was like, all right.
No, we will. We'll speak. We'll figure out before we finish too. Of course, Ireland in pot 3 for that qualifying draw. Ireland are going to be in a group of 4 due to being. They will have to play a relegation promotion playoff in March. The draw for that is actually on Friday. Ireland can play. Sorry,
we can play Northern Ireland. I think.
No, we can't. Sure, they won their group. We can play.
I saw something today, but we could play them. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, if they had a loss, we could have played them. We can play Bulgaria. Bulgaria, who finished second in their group, so we can play Bulgaria, Armenia, and I think it might be Slovenia or Slovakia.
Would you fancy this against any of them teams? Because I wouldn't.
I don't know. I'm not sure how much interest people have on it.
We weren't that bad against England until the red card. And in my opinion, we were denied 2 Stonewall penalties.
How do you think about the manager? How do you think he's doing?
I mean, what he's doing what he can do. Like he is one of the worst Irish squads I've ever seen in my life. So the
problem with this World Cup draw now is there's 12 groups and the 12 group winners go through. Yeah. I just can't see a situation where we top our group, so we're going to rely on finishing second now, and the second only gets you a playoff spot, so we have to then beat another team and finish a second. Do you have any hope Ireland can be at the World Cup in 2026?
Not based on these last couple of camps, no.
We need snookers, don't we? And Owen, of course, Tiernan Lynch appointed the Derry City manager this week. Had a very, very good time out of it, Lauren. But of course, now coming into a big rebuild at Derry City. How how do you feeling about disappointment?
I'm not gonna lie, and I don't know much of him, but Lauren fans were very disappointed to see him go, and I was reading some comments about him. Some people are saying he's a defensive coach. Some people saying he likes to play attacking football. So he has a big rebuild on his hands because we've seen Colin Whelan left, the McGowan brothers left. I think I don't know what the situation is with Brian Maher, but I think he's going to go as well.
Wasn't gone.
Wisdom. Oh, I wanted him to stay just because but no, it's going to be very interesting to see what Derry do between now and February.
I'm actually going to be on a podcast next week for Derry City. There's a fella's invited me on, so keep an eye on that. I'll be out next Sunday, I think.
Do you think?
So,
do you think Derry can challenge next year? Do you think it'll be more of a rebuilding job?
who knows? Who knows? I think it's going to be difficult because I think Rovers and Pats will be strong. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult. But I think Derry just want to see some attacking football and players being let off the shackles a wee bit and see how it goes from there. I don't think there'll be too much expectation in this first season.
No,
but
maybe if you do a few interviews with him next year, you'll get to know him more. But
I think the No Europe thing's going to be a big blow for. That's something you look forward to, but it's just No Europe this year. So,
do you think the attendances at the Brandy will go down?
No, I think they'll get behind this new manager.
So
I think it needed a change just for the whole club.
You think if we had a won the cup on Sunday, you would have left still?
Not sure.
Because this deal was done very quickly.
What's that? I don't know. But look, I think Rory did what he could. He took the team as far as he could take them. I think it did need a change. I think Rory probably needed a change as well.
I know I hammered him at some points, but for what he did, there, like when he came on, they were fighting relegation.
Look, at the end of the day, right? I don't know, a lot of Derry City fans were criticising him, but if this next appointment doesn't go well, people might look back and go, "Well, Higgins done well enough then." So it just depends.
So we'll get behind them and see how it goes. But as we say before we finish, full steam ahead. Now they march for this.
We'll be back on Friday. The 12-man podcast will return on Friday. We'll be looking ahead to Man City against Spurs. I'm going to see if I can get Jamie on. I must give him a buzz actually when he's watching. To get his thoughts on Man City ahead of that game on Saturday.
Jamie's a good lad, man.
So if you're new around here, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content. And we'll be back on Friday, where we will be focusing on the return of the Premier League and, of course, the highlight game this weekend, Man City against Spurs. And we will devote a lot of attention as well to Ruben Amorim, of course, making his Premier League debut with Man United on Sunday.
I'm looking forward to that game just to see the differences.
It's hard to see it in one game.
Do you think he'll play a three at the back? Because I don't think he has a chance for it.
No, it'll be interesting to see. But we'll talk about it. Definitely, we'll get on that on Friday. And we'll see. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
See you soon.